expand fields. If you click on fields, you can see all the API names here. I got a question. Oh, can you see now? Okay, no problem. Yeah. So these are the fields. Okay, these are the field labels. These are the field names. I can't use account name in my VF page. Technically speaking, all the developers should use the field names only. I have to use field names for referencing a field, not the field labels. Field names will not contain any spaces or any special characters like that. You can only see underscore, or you don't see any space at all. See, the quantity is with total opportunity quantity. For suppose lead source, generally if it is a custom field, lead underscore source underscore c is the actual field label, sorry, field API name for that. But here it shows like lead source only. This is created by standard by Salesforce, guys. Okay, these are standard fields available for all organizations who are using Salesforce. These are custom fields. See, every custom field is having, for suppose there is a course custom field, course underscore underscore c. Don't worry about the book 9 underscore underscore. That's a very custom thing which is only available in this org, because this is a managed package org. So all the custom components what you are creating in this org will be appended with underscore underscore, sorry, book 9 underscore underscore c. What is this book 9 underscore underscore? It's a name prefix which you have taken for your package. What is a name prefix? When you are managing a package, you have to use some unique name prefix. Okay, you have to register that. How to do that? Expand this create, go to packages. If you open the packages, there is an option for taking the name prefix also. For the first time it shows the name prefix creation, but once you have created the name prefix, that option will not be shown to you at all, because you can only create name prefix for an organization only only for one time. Once it is done, you can't do anymore. It's fixed for this organization. Okay, the package name is ICC. That is the reason developing ICC version 1.0. A name prefix is book 9, and a type of package types allowed is managed and unmanaged packages. It's allowed in this organization. Okay, right. So that's the reason every custom component in this organization will be having book 9. After that, along with two underscores, because it's the unique way to represent the name prefix, and you are separating with two underscores, because if you are creating even the custom field also, there is one underscore. If you are giving two spaces also, it will be considered as one underscore. You cannot see two underscores except underscore underscore c and this manager package prefix underscore underscore. The remaining underscores will be only one. Okay, you got it. So what I'm saying is, you cannot create two underscores. For suppose people think like, if there is a label name called account space and one more space name, it's a custom field, account underscore underscore name, you cannot create like that. It automatically consider the two spaces as one space, sorry, one underscore in the API name. You can only see underscore underscore for at the end of your API name. You will see underscore underscore see the at one time, and you can even see the starting at the starting of that also. You can see underscore underscore after your name prefix for each and every field. That is the reason when I am going to the opportunity object, each and every custom field. For suppose this is order underscore, so order space number is the custom field, book 9 underscore underscore order number underscore underscore c. I think somehow what happened is I manually I removed the underscore. That is the reason there is an underscore here. When you are creating this, it automatically gives underscore option here. Okay. Yeah. And let's open Apex part. Okay. Now before going to Apex, let's finish the remaining few small things in this area. So here you can see the tools. I want you guys even to access this also, expand each and every options in the content. Okay. You can try, you can read this stuff. Okay. You can get more and more information from this option. You can see advanced examples which require Apex in their own job. Okay. Click on this to see the advanced examples. And yes, after finishing this introduction to all these variables and all these tags, I'm going to explain a lot of examples, because if I explain the syntax thing, it's not done, and you really face a lot of issues while developing the scenarios on your own. That is the reason I will think I have some scenarios. I will explain that scenarios in class, so which will help you barely understand the tags what you're using in that, and also how to use the tags. Even though you are really good at all the tags and all the how to use Apex and how to use all the classes and how to use objects, how to use SQL queries, that's not done. You still need to practice a lot of scenarios. Means when you're starting some example on your own, you can't do that because you don't know where to start with. You know what collection types you have to use in that scenarios. Okay, I'm clicking on quick start tutorial. Oh my god. Okay. Somehow this is not the wrong link. Okay, but you can download this example PDF guide, which will automatically have a lot of examples in that. So again, I'll talk about this concept later. Standard controller, how to integrate that, how to use standard disk controller, how to use custom controllers and custom controller extensions. Okay. So why we use standard controller generally? For suppose if your customer says, "Hey, I just need the change in UI, not the logical part or not the backend automation. I just need to see the new UI in my brand color." For suppose if Coca-Cola is hide you and asks you to develop some new application, and in the first phase they generally ask you, "Hey, I just need the CRM, simple CRM." The second phase, "Hey, all my employees want to see the things in their Coca-Cola brand color." Salesforce branding is totally different than Coca-Cola, right? It's a general branding. You can see light blue color, sky blue color, and it's like watercolors, all this stuff. But if your company guys says that I want to see everything in red color like Coca-Cola, yes, most people ask that type of scenarios also. In that case, you have to build some custom pages with VF pages. You can use standard controller in this scenario because you are not going to you are not going to you're not by going to modify the logic, you are simply modifying the front end UI. That is the reason you can only use the Visual Force tags, and you can build some page with that. For that you use standard controller only. Standard controller, without any effort, you can use simple methods like save, edit, standard methods. For suppose if you're trying to create a page for account, I have to use standard controller attribute. You inside that the value is I have to keep as account. I will show some simple example to you before going to the next means Apex part. That only that example. After that, I'll move on to other topics. Okay. Apex has account standard controller. This is example which talks about account standard controller. So what is this? My customer says, hey, the account page, if you see generally it's totally different, right? You have seen lot of charter things in the starting. See, I'm creating a new tab. Okay. I will click on customer. Customer means account. Okay. If you click on new, this page is totally different. I have option to select a record type, click on new, and later on I have option to fill a lot of details. Okay. But this page is automatically helping you to create a new account also. Okay. I might not create account properly because I am not using all the fields which are required for account creation, because some of the fields are required with the validation rules. See, I'm creating something like customer name is att, customer site att.com, customer direct, phone number, customer number, number of contacts. I think it's custom field. It's active and click on save. I think it may go some it may show some validation rules. So see, this is a validation rule. Industry provide, please provide industry as you have entered account type value. I will click none. I'm clicking on save. Please insert fax number. This is also one more validation. If there is a account type, you must enter the other field, that is I don't remember that. See, you must enter the industry also. That's the validation which I kept on the account object. Okay. Same way, you know what is validation rules that are really simple in configuration. Okay. This particular validation rule is validating on two fields. One is on industry field and another is on account type field. First of all, it checks the type field and later on it checks whether industry field is blank or not. If it is blank, I am showing this error. If you are entering the account type value, you must enter the account industry value also. That's what I am saying here on this screen. So you might see some errors in this message, but means this is an error message. Why I'm showing this here? I'm using Apex messages tag here. See, Apex messages style equal to green, that is in green color. Style class I'm not giving anything. If I have one class which will set the style for that, I can use that class. I can get that class earlier. Style class. I can use that class for all the tags which need the same properties. Okay. And if you see here, I'm using standard controller equal to account, label equal to Venkat. So I'm making the page label as Venkat, and sidebar equal to true. What is sidebar? This is sidebar. If I'm giving false, what happens? Just check this. I'm clicking on save, control S, automatically refreshing dynamically. See, there is no sidebar now. Now my page is totally custom page. It doesn't look like a standard page also. So I want to disable my event chart also. This is called Salesforce chart, which helps you to collaborate with all the employees in this organization. So you generally, so if you are working for any big enterprises, you have some office communicator because it's a third party tool by Microsoft. You have to use that for talking to each other, and you have to talk with the team members like that. But this chart will help you to talk to even your colleagues and all people. Okay. See, I'm making the show chart equal to false. For suppose if I don't need any chart for this important page, if I don't want to allow that, I have to click on show chart equal to false. It's a simple property which will disable the chart option at all from my page. I can't access the chart from this page. From other pages, I can access that again. And show header equal to true and false. Okay. What is show header? This is called header. For suppose if you want to build custom branding, I have to use Coca-Cola branding completely in red colors because I cannot modify this CSS. It's a standard Salesforce header. In that case, I have to disable the sales header now, and I have to build a custom header by a template, by a VF template, and I have to include this here. Show header equal to false. Now you can see the complete new page without header. Now I have to build header. I have to build header and I have to in a template and I have to insert here. See my account input page is here. I have to insert my header before the form tag. Now before the form tag I will see the header. Okay, the custom header what you are building with templates. Salesforce components or templates, you can see it here. Okay, right. And if you see, once you are linking this page with the standard controller account, now you are eligible to access all the account standard methods. What are account standard methods? I said save also is one of the method. Edit is also one of the method. If this is the detail page. I can show save edit buttons also. Cancel all these buttons. I can use that from standard controller. Currently, this is edit page where I am trying to enter some data into the system. That is the reason I am only using the save button. Okay. I'll show the difference between the Salesforce UI tags. Why these are useful. If you see the Salesforce VF cheat sheet, there is look and feel tags. Page blocks also will belong to look and feel tags. So by simply giving apex page block title equal to my account input page, it's automatically creating a account page block with this title, big title also. You're not giving the properties for that. So it automatically created some simple template and it's automatically assigning the buttons in the center. Why is that? See what happens if I remove the page block buttons tag. I'm removing that. I'm removing the end tag and I'm trying to click on save. See what happens. The save buttons are here. It's not aligned properly. Okay. Now see, I have removed the page block buttons. That is the reason you are not seeing the buttons in the center. The look and feel tag page block and page block buttons is automatically aligning things really better for me. So if I am removing page block, I cannot use page block section also. I can't use this also. I can't expand and close like this. All these are coming from the UI tags, look and feel tags from VF page. Try what is page block, what is page block section, what is page block buttons, what is page block section item also. Read that and you can understand very much better than me. Okay? And you can also decide the number of columns. What is number of columns? When you are creating page layout, there are two columns, one column layouts also. You can decide that when you're creating sections. Same way, this is a simple attribute for the page block section, which tells you how many number of columns are there. This is one column. If I kept two, I can only kept one or two columns. If I kept two columns here, column one is here, column two here will be here. Let's see what happens if I keep this as column two. Can you see the change happen? What happened here? That is the reason I want you guys to try the examples of your pages with all the proper attributes. So if you are doing that, you will be good at all the VF tags. And whenever some interviewer will ask you, can you rate yourself on VF pages? You can say 10 out of 10 because you already tried all the examples in a VF page. Then nothing is left. You're good at that. Okay. So in interviews, they generally ask before starting their interview on VF pages. They simply ask you, what's your on on a scale of 10, how much you rate for your skills on VF page. You have to say around 9 or 10. For telling that, you have to prepare for all these tags, right? And what is collapsible attribute? The collapsible attribute tells you whether this is collapsible or not. Expandable like this. Okay, this is collapsed. This is expanded. If there are multiple sections, if you feel that one of the sections are that important, I can collapse that. If there are four or five sections, out of five sections, two sections are not that important to the user to enter details. The remaining three sections are important. What you do, the important sections you're going to expand, and the so you make them collapsible equal to false so that they can't collapse it. For the sections which are not important with not important fields, you can collapse them automatically by using collapsible equal to true. So with that, you are minimizing the page height also, right? And how to link a field, because customer name, customer site, customer phone, customer sorry type, customer number, number of contacts active, these are all fields on the account object. So there are a lot of input tags. You can use input tags only under form tag because these are all form tags, right? Input tags, output tags are all form tags. You have to use these tags under a form tag. That's the reason there is a form tag on the top. Under that, you can see the page block buttons. Because you have to also use the buttons inside the form tag only. You can't use the buttons outside of the form tag. Even it's you can see the same type of way even in HTML or Java applications also. When you are creating a form, you have to use the button inside that form. If you are not doing that, it won't save that particular form. Okay. Now the input field tag, I'm using it here. What is input field tag? It's a standard Salesforce tag, and it also automatically adds the properties of the current tag. What is properties? First, suppose if I'm defining the customer type equal to pick list value, it automatically shows pick list value here. I don't need to show. I don't need to add a tag like apex select option for pick list values. What I said to you, in the form tags there are a lot of fields: input text, input field, select options. Also a a tag, a VF tag for accepting pick list values. If I want to implement this type of scenario with the pick list, with the sales, with the VF pages, I have to use two fields. One is input field. Input field is will take with less effort. It automatically considers the properties of the standard, means what you have defined in the backend standard or custom fields. For suppose if you're defining it as a checkbox, it shows like a checkbox. If you're defining like a pick list value, it defines like a pick list value. I'm not defining anything here. Simply I'm putting the values. It checks the definition of that particular field, and it also shows the type of properties in the page. For suppose If you don't know, for suppose if you want to, if I use a apex text field, what happens? I'll show that to you. See what happened here. The type field became the input text field only. Okay. What is the account type field? Account type is a pick list value which only accepts some type of specific values. Still, what happened here when I made that as an input text field, it automatically converted means generally a input text field will not get the properties of that fields. It will consider all the fields like a text fields only. If I know the customer type equal to customer underscore customer direct customer like that, I can have to type it manually. Most customers will not waste the time like that, right? It's really waste of time. For this field, I have to show a pick list value. It's a drop down box which I have to select some option from that list. That's the best option for that, right? If I convert that field into a input field, see what will happen. See, input field will automatically get what is a type field property, and after that it automatically gets the values and it will show it in the form of pick list value only. For suppose input field of active checkbox is checkbox, it automatically show it as checkbox. If you want to implement that type of scenario with input text, it shows a text field like this. You have to type true for making it checked or false for making it unchecked. Okay, that's not a good practice, right? You have to implement checkboxes with checkboxes only. The input field will help in that scenarios. And there is one more option also. Input checkbox also you can directly use. There's a field type you can use it for checkboxes. Okay. Okay. So with that, you understand that all the input fields will automatically carry the properties what you are defining in the backend. Okay. And I will do the changes back. I'll add apex space block buttons also because I'm adding apex space block buttons now. See, one is the starting tag and ending tag. Inside that I have to add the buttons. I added three buttons here. Anyway, the actual both all the three buttons are same. I'm clicking on save. I am now remove the two buttons and I'm clicking on save. It saved it and I have a single button now and automatically do one thing. It automatically keep the buttons in the center because customer if the cursor is here, you can navigate directly to here. If the cus if the means actually the best practice of to minimize the user effort on the page is keep the buttons in the center of the page. That's the best practice. That's the reason it automatically brings the things in the center. If you're keeping the buttons in the center, you have to traverse less distance. If you are keeping at any distance also it shows only the same distance. But for suppose if you're keeping the buttons in the starting, if your cursor is here, you have to traverse a lot. It's a bad practice. If you're keeping at the center, it's having the same distance from all the places in the page, the center. Okay, and also if the page is too big, we have two buttons automatically added that is starting at the starting of the page and the ending of the page also. For suppose if you're scrolling a lot to the end of the page after 3 pages, again for saving the record, you don't need to travel to the top of the page. You can directly click on that button at the bottom of the page, which will automatically save the complete record. That's one of the best practice. Whenever you are creating some pages in the enterprise systems, you generally see the buttons on the both top as well as at the bottom of the page also, the same buttons. So here I'm creating only one button, which is automatically creating two buttons, both starting and the ending, and again at the center of the page. Yeah, I have example for that for creating a templates in Salesforce. Okay, when you are building portal applications, means you have to keep the header, because when you are building custom portals, I said, for suppose you are building portals for Coca-Cola, they want everything in red color and they want the Coca-Cola logo specially defined, and there's some animation going on the header, and also you have to show some the current logged in user name, current logged in user uh, time zone time, and current logged in user role also on the header, like a dynamic information. Whoever logged in, it shows their information on that screen. I can build the type of template and I can insert the template in all the pages which I am building for portals, so that I can also implement the tabs also in that component. For suppose if there are 10 tabs, if I'm selecting ninth tab, it shows the properties of the ninth tab in the bottom of that, and the ninth tab selected on the header side. Dynamically, I can show all that stuff. Okay, I have some simple example for that, including a template for a customer profile page. Okay, I will show that example to you. Yeah, where can we create templates? Means you can create the templates in a VF page only. It's also a VF page. You can include that VF page in other VF pages, like a template. Okay, like and you can also create components, and you can also VF components also can be created from the VF pages only, and you can insert that components even directly in the VF pages also. Okay, they are also a VF pages only. You're going to use the VF tags inside that also. Okay, and now I will talk about Apex variables and stuff. Okay, so first of all, we use Apex to help to write the controller logic, and also to help VF pages with custom controllers and controller extension classes. Okay, okay. So why is that? Okay, first suppose if your customer says, "Hey, if your customer says, I want a page," sorry, because if your customer says, "My account page needs to be modified visually and even logically also." When I'm clicking on the save button, apart from save button, I also have to send some email, custom email, and also have to do some automation after that. And I have to show some new screen. When I'm clicking on the save button, I have to see some pop-up window with some simple options, some additional options to save the account record, and I have to fill that and I have to click on save. Means that's a very custom requirement which you need to modify visually and even logically also. The logical part here is you're opening a new some dialogue like jQuery dialogue also. With jQuery UI, you can implement that. Okay, I'm calling some custom methods and actions with the on button click, that is save button click. Okay, on button click, I am calling some VF. sorry, some dialog box, and again I'm showing some more options in that. Okay, custom options, and I have to configure that, select some values in that, and I have to click on some more button, done button, to save the record. That's the final save button. There is the case. Yes, I have to implement that type of scenarios with Visual Force with custom controllers, or Visual Force with standard controller plus custom controller extension also. Because if that page have 50% or like some x% of like 60-70% of standard behavior, and also need some custom logic also, then you can pick VF controller with standard sorry VF with standard controller plus controller extension. The custom logic what you want, the 30% or 20%, you will write in separate Apex class, and you link that class as extension class for that current page, which is implemented with VF standard controller. Okay. Okay. So this VF cheat sheet means Apex developer sheet will tell you what all the important keywords are used in this. I'll share that thing to you, and I will continue this in the next class. Okay. But anyway, I will start and I will at least finish the first page. Okay. I'm going to talk about some of the important reserved keywords by Apex code and where you are going to use these methods. Okay. So first of all, abstract. So it declares the class and that the methods are abstract inside this class. So these methods will have only signatures and no body defined. Okay. You can also define class methods also. You are making the abstract classes with the abstract keyword. Okay. And break keyword is useful to exit the entire loop what you are executing. Okay. Here the loop is while loop. With the break, you are completely breaking the loop. You are completely coming out of the entire loop. So catch. So I'm coming in the alphabetical order. Catch keyword is useful to catch the exceptions. You generally use this in exception handling. You write the logic which might give some errors in the try block. If there's any error inside that logic, it's going to throw some exception and you're going to catch that with the catch block. The exception will be stored in E, so the list exception E, and you can also print the message inside with the catch block. Okay, inside the catch block you can add error methods, how to add an error message on the VF page or to add some error message to some existing messages, like that you can add inside the catch block. Coming down to the class, you can define the class with class attribute. Each and every class you have to use this particular variable. See, for even abstract class also, public abstract class. This is a keyword, very important keyword which used in most of all the classes. Private class, public class, global class. Okay, this is a constant variable. This is a most common variable you generally use in all the Apex classes. And continue. The continue keyword will generally skip the current iteration and it will run the next iteration and the loop. For suppose if I am running this loop, if I want to skip, if I don't want to execute one condition out of 100 conditions, means if there are 100 possible 100 times I have to execute the loop. Out of that I have to eliminate only one loop at 75th loop. Okay, I will store some I loop. I'll put some counter and I will start from 1, and if it is coming to 75, I can skip that particular loop execution by putting if condition. If I equal to 75, I'll use continue. It will skip the current iteration. execution. Okay, do generally useful a do while loop. Okay, do while will generally see there is a lot of difference between while and do while. With the while loop, okay, you are only executing the code block inside the while loop only when the condition is true. But in the do while, the condition you are writing inside do, and you are checking the means you don't have condition for do. You have only logic inside do. The condition is at the bottom of that loop. Means at least one time you are going to execute the lines inside the do loop. While loop, if you are not satisfying the condition, you are not going to execute the loop at least one time also. But do while, you are going to execute the condition at least one time. And else loop, generally useful in if else. Okay, if else, you can't use else without if. Okay, so for suppose if you are getting I equal to 0 or 1. Okay, I equal to 0 or 1, these are the possible values in your scenario. If I equal to 0, you are going to execute all the possible logic if in the if loop. If I equal to 0, I can put that loop, and inside that block, if block, I can run the logic for I equal to 0. And if I'm using else, all the other scenarios will go into the else loop. If I equal to not 0, if I equal to 1, 2 or 3 or 4 or 0 or null value, it comes into else block. That's called else. And enum is a variable. Okay, it's called enumeration. Okay, so I can define this enum variable public enum season. For suppose I don't have season primitive type in my apex variable. I have primitive types for string, id, number, sorry, integer, long, double, like that. I have boolean, like that. There are variables. I don't have variable for seasons. Okay, for that I can get some enumeration type with enum variable and the value season. For suppose here I'm getting season. There are four type of seasons. I'm creating enumeration for seasons, and I have stored the values like winter, spring, summer, and fall. Now the enumeration type E can only save these four values only. If you are giving some other value, it won't accept that. This I can set the enumeration like season is winter, season is summer dynamically based on some time zones or times. I can do that. I can set the season. I can also define the status like hot, cold, or warm, like that. Okay, and extends. If you want to extend another class or interface, you have to use the extends keyword for that. You're going to extend some of like exception handling classes like that. Okay, in that way you are going to use that. And false. False is the value, means you can use it for setting the boolean variable value. I can set true or false with this keyword. And final, so you are going to define constants and methods that cannot be overridden, okay, with the final keyword. Okay, so now this method cannot be overridden. Okay, finally this particular block is guaranteed to execute after the try catch implementation. For suppose if you want to run out some logic, send out some email after try catch block, finally to show the status and send a status to you some X person in the administrator, so to some administrator. Yes, I can do that. So I have some scenario. I have done some batch class. So out of 10,000 records, 8,000 records are properly batched properly, and 2,000 are not batched. I can send that status to the administrator with this finally also. The end of this will execute for sure. Okay, and for loop you generally use a lot in Salesforce. There are multiple ways you can use for loops. For loops, the basic for loop will be having three variables inside that: integer I equal to 0, some condition which will set the starting value of the integer, and you are going to check the condition I less than or some x value, so that you are going to limit only that number of times that for loop is going to execute. And at the end of it, the third condition is I plus plus incrementing option. Generally, in the if loops, you are going to increment inside the code block, but in the for loop, you are going to increment in the condition only. I equal to 0, I less than or equal to 10, I plus plus will run the code for 10 times. Okay, will run the loop for 10 times. And there is one more thing. I can dynamically use list items also in for loop. For suppose I have a list of integers, that is three values, that is 1, 8, and 9. This is a list, right? You know how to create list also. I can call it like array also. Okay, this list contains three values, that is 1, 3, 1, 8, and 9. If I use a for loop for, so what are the values available in this list? They are integers, right? That is the reason I have to use integer I colon my ints. If there are strings in this list, I have to use string I equal colon my ints. If there are doubles, I have to use double. If there are account types, account I colon my accounts or my ints. Here you are storing integers, that is 1, 8, and 9. That is the reason the data type what you are getting, I have to use that in I. For integer I my ints, what I'm doing finally, I'm debugging the I value I. I'm printing the 1, 8, 9 three times, 1, 8, and 9. Totally, I'm printing three times. So I'll get this message in the debug logs. This is parsing the integers. I can also parse the accounts also. For suppose if I can dynamically query the things inside the condition also. So for suppose if I have a list of accounts, I can pass the list of accounts directly to for account A, LST ACCS. For suppose LST ACCS is the list of accounts, I can do that way. Or else I can also dynamically query the account records. For suppose if I am querying the account records with some condition, the return type is obviously list of accounts, right? There can be one or more records. That is the reason for account A colon square brackets select ID name from account where name like S like means if all the names with starting with Acme looks like Acme, which starts with Acme or looks like Acme, will be because see S plus percentage symbol means starting with Acme. Okay, will automatically be written here. And if there are four Acme like Acme Solutions, Acme ANC, Acme Technologies, Acme LLC, these are four accounts with Acme, then this for loop will recur four times. What are that? They are accounts returning from this SOQL query. This is called SOQL query. Okay. Now this for loop will recur four times. This is the multiple ways you are using for loop. Three types. You can also recurse any type of standard objects or custom objects also. And global keyword. Global keyword is useful for making any class global and which can be accessible from any other application. All the web service classes and integrations you generally write that particular classes in with global access, okay, with global keyword. And if you want to make some web service methods, you have to use web service keyword also. This is called web service keyword. And if loop, some condition, if it's satisfying, you're going to run that logic inside that if block. Implements, if you want to implement some interface, you're going to do that. So where suppose when you are implementing the messaging handler, when you are trying to handle some inbound emails from coming to Salesforce support or some X email service, then what you can do is you can use this implement keyword for implementing messaging.inbound handler. The custom class what you're writing is create task email template in this current example. This is a custom class name. You are implementing this particular system interface, messaging system interface, which will useful for handling the email. And it automatically have a lot of methods to handle, right? Just to get the plain text body what you are coming to this email to you can also check who is the sender, who is the receiver, all this stuff. An instance of, generally it verifies at runtime whether an object is instance of particular class or not. Okay, I can check whether the current or at runtime whether the particular object is belongs to that particular class or not, is instance of a class or not. An interface, to create interface methods, this can be extended, okay, implemented also. Okay, interface method py created with this. Okay, that's it guys for today. I'll meet you in tomorrow's class with for explaining the remaining keywords, and also I will start with some more examples on VF pages. And so generally what happens, I generally want to start VF examples, but VF examples without Apex, I can't explain complex examples. That is the reason I am explaining Apex part also, all the basic variables and keywords useful for developing Apex. Later on, I can directly pick some examples, which is a combination of VF plus Apex also. And also I will explain examples without Apex also. Apex VF means VF standard controller examples. Okay, good. Takes again the remaining cheat sheet will take around 30 minutes or more than that. After that, we can start with some examples. And I will also explain parallel about SQL queries, where to use that, all this stuff. Okay. Thanks, guys. Any questions?